to becoming a meme even the White House used online. Rick Astley is telling us all about his tales from his autobiography. We'll be back right after this.
Hi there, welcome back now then. When Never Gonna Give You Up propelled Rick Astley into the pop stratosphere in 1987. It changed his life forever.
4 decades and #1 in 25 countries and over 40 million record sales later, and Rick's tracks are still as iconic as ever.
Take me to your heart, never let me go. For your love is all I need to know. Together forever and never to part. Together forever we're two. Whenever you need somebody, I'll bring my love to you. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you, never gonna...
Oh, and as he releases his best-selling autobiography right here in paperback, delighted that Rick joins us now.
Yeah.
We were just watching those videos.
Yeah.
I mean, we just assume it's all glamour and superstardom. But which was the video you were talking about?
Whenever you need somebody, everybody else went to the Canary Islands to shoot, you know, the model and the whole bit and my love interest in it and everything. And I filmed my bit in a studio in North London, do you know what I mean?
So you didn't even get to go to the Canaries?
No, it wasn't all glamour, you know.
The fuzzy end of the lollipop, I believe they call that, right?
I like that.
The book is just brilliant.
Thank you.
I've been listening to the audiobook
Thank
too, because I like the way you tell the story, because no one's quite as self-deprecating as you are about you.
But I love autobiographies anyway. I love
Yeah.
that genre of, you know, and I do read still quite a lot, physical read, you know, especially on the beach. But I kind of like it when the person whose story I'm kind of getting into is actually in my ear telling me this stuff.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do that part of it. And also a good friend of mine actually does that for a living. So he produced it with me, doing the audio stuff and everything. So we actually had a bit of a laugh and a cry because he knows me really well. And, it, you know, it was a great experience to read it again after actually doing it.
It's,
you know what I mean?
we've got Freddie Flintoff on tomorrow, who's got his,
Yeah.
his
Oh, wow.
autobiography Coming Home out, and I've just been listening to Freddie tell the
Wow,
story.
and he's got some stuff going on.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
But, and he said exactly the same thing,
Right.
though. One of the most interesting and engaging parts of the book is reading it himself and going back over those stories.
Yeah.
Because you wrote it a long time ago.
Yeah, but
to
it's-
actually re-record it and then hear what you wrote about yourself.
Having to actually get those words out in an audio way, because also there's a bit of performance in it.
Yeah,
you
of course.
can't just read it to yourself like you're reading something in the kitchen. You have to go for it a bit. And yeah, there was moments where I did struggle and stumble a little bit. And I also had a good laugh doing it again, which I know is a bit like, get me. But it was the things that really cracked me up at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously doing the book, but then actually doing the audiobook as well. But I think I still love reading a book. I love reading a physical book. And we were on holiday just recently, and most people are kind of on an iPad or a phone or what have you. I'm all for it. Marvellous Kindle, love it. But there's something about getting hold of a physical book.
Yeah.
And I'll do that naughty thing where I turn the page over and then leave it on the thing, go and get a drink, come back. You know, I love all that. So,
smashing.
yeah.
But you are so incredibly honest in it as well.
Yeah.
Was that like a conscious decision that you're like,
Absolutely.
right, if I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it properly?
Totally. I think, obviously, you know, looking at those videos there, yes, it's all pop and shiny and lovely. But I think the reason most people end up getting on a stage is not always the music. I think there's other things that push that. And I kind of basically wanted to get out of the life that I had as a kid. It wasn't awful, it wasn't terrible, but there were a few moments in it that I just thought, this isn't for me. I want to change the way I live my life. And music kind of gave me that opportunity. So I don't want to make it so mundane and boring that I did it for the security. I did it because I love music. I'm still messing around with music now. But it also, on the other end, gave me this road to having a different life where I would feel secure and comfortable and be able to kind of like look after myself rather than expecting my parents to do it, you know?
Yeah.
That shift, though, from where you were, your parents split up and you're living in essentially a porter cabin.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
You know, and embarrassed about your friends or people at school
Sure,
knowing
absolutely.
your existence, to then suddenly being catapulted to superstardom.
Yeah.
Was in a relatively short space of time as well. Then.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, it felt a lot longer because everything does when you're a
Yeah,
kid, doesn't
it
it?
does.
It just, you know. But when I go back to it now, it's kind of crazy. I met the Stock Aitken Waterman guys at the perfect perfect moment, because when I met them and signed a deal, they were just kind of starting out. They'd had a few of their songs on top of the Pops, so they were definitely cooking. But in that time of me signing with them and like joining their, you know, thing,
A stable, yeah.
it just went bonkers. You know, the Dead or Alive record was massive. Mel and Kim, obviously, Princess. They worked with the Bananarama Girls. You know, they just had so many hits one after the other that I was just in the perfect spot. So when they actually did my song and wrote that song for me, Never Gonna Give You Up, it was just set right with like radio and everything. They were just ready for the next Stock Aitken Waterman record. So that probably, you know, was an amazing, fortuitous moment for me, really, just to have met them at that time when they were literally taking off like a rocket. So.
And talking of taking off, so you were kind of propelled into this world of fame. Everybody knew, but you were still taking your jackets on your video shoots and doing all that. But everybody knew your face. And then it got to a point where you were supposed to jump on Concorde, wasn't it? And you were going to New York.
I was meant to go to New York to do one of the big TV shows there, yeah. And I'd been taking a few trains in Europe and stuff doing promo.
Yeah.
Because I'd just developed this fear of flying, and I still don't like it. I am going on a plane later, but I don't like it. I'll be having a nice martini before I get on there.
Strange
just one, by the way. You're okay. I'll only have one. I don't like it now, and I think what it is, it goes back to what I was just talking about. It's about control. I still like to drive myself to gigs. I do jump on the tour bus, but I very often, even in Europe and places, I've actually driven across Australia twice.
Really?
Doing gigs, yeah.
I mean, that's not a small country,
No,
is it?
and I like to get behind the wheel and I do the driving. And it's control. It's like, I've got this, so the other stuff I can't control, fine, I'll, you know, let the wind take me, but what I can control, I like to control.
Do you think that comes from your childhood, the instability of your mum and dad?
My mum and dad got divorced when I was really young.
Yeah.
They had some horrendous things to get through. One of their children passed before I was born. And I don't think anybody, you don't get over that. You just learn to live with it and try and deal with it in whatever way you can. But it was incredibly difficult, I think. And I feel that kind of overshadowed my upbringing in that house, I think, a little bit. And I'm not, you know, I've talked to my brothers and sister, I'm the youngest, about that a lot in there. But we didn't do when we were kids. It just never really got mentioned. And I think I just wanted to, you know, my dad had a lot of problems. So I don't want to get into it right now. Read the book. And I just think, but that also made me want to leave and run away with the circus, join the circus, and get on a stage.
What a circus it was, by the way,
What a
because there's a lot of honesty about those moments, but there's some amazing stories here as well.
Thank you.
Not least meeting Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, my God.
Can you just share that experience?
Yeah, well, I was staying in a beautiful hotel in Los Angeles, and it's a bit of a rock and roll film sort of place, and it's amazing. So they had a tiny bar back in the day, right in the reception area. So I was in there just getting a drink, waiting for a taxi. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, that is Ozzy Osbourne. I couldn't meet his eye or anything. And I'm not going to do the accent, but he kind of leaned over. He was having a drink back then, you know, and he leaned over and he kind of said to me, "You're that, what's his name, kid?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "Are you gigging?" And I said, "No, we haven't started touring yet." He said, "Well, if you need to put a band together, I've worked with all the best players in the world," which he has, to be fair.
Yes,
he absolutely has. And I'm like, what is happening? Is this happening? I'm like pinching myself. Is this happening? And then his amazing, gorgeous wife, Sharon, clips him round the back of the ear and sort of says, "Shut up, leave him alone. He's a nice lad." A nice lad, by the way. He's a nice lad. He doesn't want your tattooed monsters playing with, you know. So I was kind of like, hang on a second, Ozzy Osbourne's almost put a band together for me, and now Sharon's just kind of nixed that one. So, but just, and I think every now and again you would in that bubble that I was in for those few years, you'd come across situations and people that, to be honest, also I wouldn't have thought he'd even give me the time of day or even knew I was.
Yeah.
But he was totally the opposite of that.
I think that's... I mean, we've obviously sadly lost Ozzy recently, but it's a real reflection of sort of the image you have of somebody, but actually who they... Because both he and Sharon as a couple were just
I mean, obviously, you know, and we know a bit about his life story. He's definitely had some moments, right? And he's had some ups and downs and everything. But in the middle of that, there's an amazing guy, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's other things as well, and it's not...
But he looked out for you.
Yeah, it's just somebody there who actually has got a heart and everything.
But don't you feel like your life and career is a bit like that as well? I mean,
Not like Ozzy Osbourne's.
No, not that.
No, but it has had ups and downs, and obviously the fact that, you know, I started singing the old songs again a long time ago now, actually. And the main reason I did it was because my wife and daughter... This offer came to go to Japan, and I'd always said no to everything. Right. And when the Japan offer came, they kind of like put my arm on her back and said, "We're going.
We want to go."
We're going.
Aww.
And we went, and it was amazing. That we had a great family trip and saw some friends, and it was just fantastic. But the main important thing was, for me anyway, selfishly kind of thing, was that I sang that first tune and I went, you silly sod, why haven't you done this before? Yeah. My head was literally going through it as I'm on stage. It was a bit Spinal Tap, you know, where Spinal Tap go back to Japan and reform. It was a bit that, but it was kind of like, it doesn't have to be every part of your existence. You can do it sometimes when you want to do it, and you can back off from things. Not that people were asking me to do much anyway, but it was like, you can put your toe in the water, you can take it out.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel I could do that when I was like 21.
Yeah.
I felt it was all or nothing. Which I think it is, to be honest. I think when you're in that white hot moment,
jump in.
you've got to do everything. They send you a fuzzy fax in 1987 and you do everything on it. You just do everything on it.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's extraordinary. The book's amazing. We did get to talk about you working with Peter Kay on that amazing show that both of us were involved in.
So fun. And then going on tour with him as well.
Yeah, no, that was gorgeous. And I actually think it was one of the reasons that I got the bug again about trying to do new songs, because one of my friends kind of, again, sort of pushed me a little bit to do a new song when I did the tour with Peter, because we're playing in front of 15,000 people every night, you know. And so I did a new song, and after that I just thought, yeah, at some point I'm going to write some new music. So that's kind of what I've been doing for 10 years now, So.
Started.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah. We've all got a lot to be thankful for, Peter.
Absolutely. Well, the paperback of Rick's book, Never, is out tomorrow, and tickets for the Reflection Tour out now.
Safe flight later.
Thank you.
Just the one martini.
One martini.
No eye
contact. Be a good one.
Right, so stand by your phones after the break. We could be making